Right, so we've just finished the control arm inner bushes, and we're now going to do the outers. Colloquially, they are also referred to as a bush, but BMW actually calls this a bearing. Once we get these old ones out, we'll actually cut them away a little bit and see what they are, but I think it is some kind of bearing inside there. But the reason we just want to show you before we get started is if you have a look at the amount of movement, it is incredibly free. And when we had the control arm on there, you can actually hear a bit of a click as it moves. So it's definitely play, it's not just loose. The new ones are extremely tight in the hand. We'll see once it's in the enclosure and whether we get any movement on the bolt. But these are terribly floppy, so these guys are getting changed as well. Okay guys, so we're going to move on to the upper rear control arm bushing outer. It's known colloquially as a bushing. BMW calls it a bearing. And if you have a little look at one that we've taken out already, you'll see it's actually what I would refer to as a ball joint. So it's a ball on a shaft inside a housing. And as I said, we found these to be quite loose. And in fact, any kind of resistance that you see there is more due to the rubber seals than anything else. The rubber seal is still in great condition, but on this one, which we've just removed from the right-hand side, what we found was the grease had really hardened. It was more like clay than grease, I would say. But I don't think there was any water ingress or anything like that. But there is very clear axial play. So in this plane over here, and you can feel that even with the fingers. And of course, as I said, this is completely floppy. So that won't do. And I think changing these guys is going to really improve the geometry. So once again, we don't have a proper bush pulling and pushing kit, but we've just made our own up with a bit of M12 threaded rod. We don't even have any high tensile rod, unfortunately, which is what I would have preferred. We're making do with what we grabbed at the garage. We have a bit of old exhaust tube cut to basically receive as we pull the bushing out or the bearing out, and we're going to push it out with a socket. Socket size in this case happens to be a Jador 32, but don't take pay too much attention to that. Importantly, take your new bushing, measure up the diameter, and then find the closest one to that, which is smaller. If you get it bigger than your bushing, you're obviously going to have a problem, and it's not easy to see by eye. So this baby here is perfect. It does foul on the rubber, so you don't want to be using this with a new bearing that you're pulling in, but it's absolutely fine to grind the old one out. So with that in mind, there's our threaded rod with a lock nut on the end and a nice washer. We just drop that bushing on that guy in the back there. We can straighten it up to get the rod through, and there we go. So that's from the back end. Slip on a piece of exhaust tube, and that is big enough to clear the whole bushing. We check that as well. You don't need no vernier to do that, so that fits nicely. Pop that on there, and then a really nice thick plate. That's a 5mm plate we're going to put on the end. And then I like to still use these square washers because they really do have a nice smooth face on them. And then finally our nut. It's always a bit of a pain running these on, so because you can square this up, we can just run this on with the rattle gun. Get that more or less where we want to be, and then we'll line it all up and get ready to go. So it's 19s either side. Got a 19 ring on there. Here we have our. All right, and here we go. Let's see if we can get us started. 2. All right, so in with the new bushing. Really nice and stiff. So what we're going to be doing here is we are going to be using completely different pushing and pulling tubes to the last time. Reason being, this time around we don't need this to actually fit through anything, to slide through, because we're pushing it into place. So literally all we need to happen is that we clear the end on either of these. So we found 2 sockets which are able to clear the rubbers nice and cleanly, and at the same time exert a nice force on the back here. So we've got a big socket, it happens to be a 38, it's going to go on the back, and we're going to push with this guy here, which happens to be a 36 Jador which really does sit very nicely on that edge there. Alright, so I've got our receiving socket over here. See, let's try that again. Put that on there. And then, because this is quite a tight fit around the little dust seal, I'm just going to give it a nice squirt of silicone spray, just to help that ease it on. Just slides on beautifully like that. Great. And back on here, and on that. Alright, that's seated. Started. This one is quite difficult to misalign now with the sockets that we're using. Alright, so that's great. So I'm going to get Nick to come and help wind this baby in with me now, and we'll show you the finished result in a second. Alright guys, and there you go, done. So yeah, I mean, I must say these were particularly easy, and I think the lesson in this is if you have the bits that fit, even though they're not necessarily the custom and correct tools, but as long as they really are fitting nicely, you can generally get the job done. So yeah, next one on is moving on to the R-tabs, but yeah, you can see just how stiff these guys are. It's brilliant, really do feel nice. So yeah, hopefully we're going to have as easy a run with the R-tabs as we've had with these upper control arm bearings.